So, you want to improve your photography, but you're not sure how to do it. Well, let me show you 3 surefire ways to improve your photos. And I'm not talking about those photos where the girl is saying how she got her hair did and the picture is taken from some low angle showing mainly her butt and very little of her hair. Stop pretending that that's a photo of your hair. If your hair was that great, you'd actually show it. That's right. I said it. Will Simpson here, and welcome to Exploring Photography. Let's get right into it because I know you want to get to taking those saucy photos. So, photo improvement number 1, framing. Now, before you click away from this video because you know all about framing or you've heard this before, let me explain. Framing encompasses so many smaller branches of how to better your photography because it is so important. Adding a foreground, placing things around your subject, using actual frames to vignette your photos, even using leading lines and compositional tools like the rule of thirds are all forms of framing. So, what are some easy ways to frame your photo? Well, look for things that fill the frame and single out your subject. But what do I mean by this? Well, let's take a photo of a model, straight on, nothing fancy. It's an okay photo, but it's missing an element that makes it interesting. Now let's back up and shoot through some trees, or use your fingers to add some darkness around the lens, or even shoot around a building to give a little frame and fill some of the negative space. Now with this simple trick, we have created more interest in that photo. And this really has no limits. You might think, well, what if I'm in a studio and not outside? There's nothing to use as foreground there. Not true. This is where you can actually be really creative. Use a flashlight or gels, which are translucent colored plastics that allow light through. Use props. Your imagination is the limit. There's so many things you can do. And this is not limited to portraits. If you shoot landscapes, this applies as well. This is a very popular model on Instagram and why these photos do so well. A picture of a house on a lake is pretty, but add some amazing colored leaves that circle the house and lake, incredible. So anytime you feel your image is boring, look around and see what you can add to the foreground to spice it up. A good rule to live by is your image isn't done until it has 3 elements: a foreground, a midground, oops, and a background. With those 3 elements, your images will be way, way nicer. Now the next one is probably one you've never heard of and will make a massive change. Plus, if you stayed at the end of this video, I have a little gift for you. Photo improvement number 2, familiarity. This is a unique one, but as soon as I explain it to you, it'll be like you always knew it, it's just never been put into words. Now, familiarity is something that is familiar to you, or something you have a close association or fondness for. Now, what does this have to do with photos? Well, think about things in life that you've liked, experiences you've enjoyed. Obviously, you enjoyed these things because they had some pleasure moment, something that made you happy. This same gauge applies to photos. When you see a photo you like, there's a familiarity with it. It's simple enough to understand, and maybe you can even imagine yourself there. Let's take a beautiful landscape. It's pretty and you like it, but let's add a person standing in the distance, gazing off majestically. Usually, on Instagram at least, this is some hunky dude or some attractive girl in leggings. Now, you might think that's why you like these photos, and maybe it is, but usually it's not because of chiseled Chip or bubble butt Becky. It's actually because having that person in the photo creates depth, creates a feeling that you could be there too and experience the same scenery. It's familiar. Having a person in the photo creates a sense of desire and draws you in more. It's simple, but powerful. Now, this technique is so powerful that you can actually use it to gauge your photos. A photo that people can relate to, that your viewer has some sense of familiarity and makes sense to them, will be more popular than a photo that someone doesn't understand or is lacking familiarity with. This has a lot to do with style, preference, and likes as well. For example, someone who likes light and airy photos probably won't like the dark and gothy photos, and vice versa. Here's a really good example, and when I finally figured out this familiarity concept, I realized why. Here are 2 photos. Which do you like more? Now, more than likely you said, well, both are nice, but the left one I like better. Well, can you tell me why? Now, what if I told you that these photos were taken very close to one another? In fact, the picture on the right was taken about 15 minutes away from the picture on the left, the Golden Gate Bridge photo. It is actually the walkway to Point Bonita Lighthouse. Now, just to the left of this walkway is the Golden Gate Bridge. So 2 photos taken relatively at the same location, but you like the one of the Golden Gate Bridge more. Why? Familiarity. You know the Golden Gate Bridge. It means something to you. You've seen hundreds of photos of it, it's popular, and so on. The other photo is pretty, but it doesn't mean anything to you. Most likely, in fact, you've never seen a photo of this before. It's literally a one-of-a-kind photo. You've seen hundreds of the Golden Gate Bridge, so you can relate to it. Instant familiarity and connection with it, so you like it more. Uniqueness doesn't necessarily mean it will be a fan favorite, even if it's a spectacular photo. You have to have a sense of familiarity. This is why you see the same type of photo on Instagram being so popular. A person standing looking out over a beautiful landscape. They are familiar. Now, mastering this comes naturally to some, others not so much. But if you can master this, and I'm still working on it, you will grow so rapidly. That's number 2. Photo improvement number 3, proper lighting. Photography literally means writing with light. It comes from the Greek word phos, meaning light, and graphy, meaning drawing or writing. So it stands to reason that light has a lot to do with taking a good photo. But if it were simple, then no one would do it, and it wouldn't be as much fun. In order for things to be fun, they actually need to have some form of challenge. Otherwise, you're just gonna get bored and move on to something else. Now, lighting is something I could go into unlimited amount of time, but there are a few simple things that you can do to really upgrade your photos. Firstly, try to avoid harsh light. Taking photos in direct sunlight, especially when it is right above you at noon or early afternoon, is doable, but it is very, very difficult. If you can't avoid it, locate some shade to shoot in, wait for some clouds, or get a 5-in-1 reflector to diffuse, which is to spread out or to make not so concentrated, and it softens the light. This will help even out the lighting and remove hot spots or harsh shadows, things like that. Another thing you can do is wait for golden hour or blue hour. Now, these are 2 times in the day, early morning and evening. Golden hour is generally right after the sunrise or right before sunset, and blue hour is right before sunrise or right after sunset. At these times, the light is very soft and even. Golden hour generally provides a very beautiful, warm golden light, and blue hour provides a very nice, cool or bluish light. I personally find it's easier to shoot in golden hour as the light is generally brighter than blue hour, so your settings can be a little bit more customizable. Now, there are many apps you can download to tell you when these times are peaking around you, so you can plan correctly. I use PhotoPills, which is $9.99 total, and has many other tools as well, like Milky Way Tracker, Moon Tracker, Planner, and a lot more that I don't even use. Now, there's another app called Alpenglow, which is a free app, and it's great. It actually tells you when first light is, when blue hour is, golden hour, sunrise, sunset, and it gives you a percentage on whether or not the sunset is gonna blow your socks off or not. That's pretty cool. It's always good to know. Now, earlier I mentioned a 5-in-1 reflector. Now, this not only diffuses light, but you can use it also to bounce light to use as a fill. Let's say you need more light on the right side of someone's face. Use the white, the gold, or silver section to bounce the light onto the face. Or you can use the black to reduce the light reflecting onto them. So it's very, very good to have one of these tools. It's actually one of those tools that I say every photographer must have. I'll link it in the description because if you don't have one, they're on Amazon and super cheap for what they accomplish, so go get one. And that's it. That wraps up my 3 simple but extremely effective tools that will greatly boost your photography skills. Now, don't worry, I didn't mention about that free gift I mentioned. There's a link in the description that will get you some really nice moody presets for Lightroom and Lightroom Mobile. All you have to do is click the link, fill out the form, and they'll be emailed right to you. So now that you have the info to take amazing photos, presets to edit them with, what's next? Well, let's make sure you're always getting tack sharp focus. Go watch this video right here so you can nail focus every time. This video will teach you the simple tactics to get rid of those annoying, blurry, and slightly out of focus shots. I'll see you there.